Hello and welcome to one more video tutorial for the Firestore and Firebase Auth plugin for Bubble. So in the last video we have configured the plugin with the necessary credentials to use it, and now we are going to configure our app to do CRUD operations, so the basic database operations like creating, reading, updating, and deleting data. Well, to do so, we don't need to previously set up our database, I mean the collections, because Firestore has this neat functionality that allows us to create a collection or a document as we are creating it, as we are running the app. Actually, we don't need to pre-configure it. So we'll demonstrate a bit of this now. And the first thing we want to configure here in our task manager is the ability to create a new task. So for that, I added two inputs here on add task input to put some to do here, and a due date to set a date uh, or a schedule for me to do this task. So when I do this and click the plus icon, I wanted to add a new task to the Firestore database, and I wanted to clear these inputs. Right now it's not doing anything, but I have configured pre-configured some workflows here that we'll be demonstrating on the next videos. In this first workflow, the add new task workflow, the idea is when I click this add button, it creates a new document in my Firestore and resets the inputs, and then gives me that new task added message. So right now the action I want to use is the create a new document, and let me showcase here that if you want to find any actions related to the Firestore app, you can just type Firestore here and it will show all the actions, the front end ones and the back end ones for you to use. You will always want to use the front end ones if you want performance, because they are considerably faster and they don't consume workload units. But the backend ones are available for you to use if you so wish to, and if you are using backend workflows, they are the only option available actually. So you can type Firestore and you can type Firebase Auth to see the actions related to authentication that we'll see in the next video, in the next videos actually. This one we only want to create, create a new document. That's the purpose of this video. So I have two things, or rather three things to set up here. First thing is the name of the collection I want to create the document in, and I'll just type tasks. This will, as there isn't a collection called tasks yet at my database, it will create a collection and create a document inside that collection with the fields I define here. So I need two fields, a field for the description and a field for the due date. So I'll just add them here, description and due date, and get the input add task value and the due date time picker value here, like so. And the other thing I must specify here is what are the types of these fields, because Bubble is not natively integrated with Firestore. So here I'm using a bunch of text and JSON data to process this information as something Firestore will understand. So that's why we need to specify here again the description, and let me just guarantee I'm typing it correctly and due date, and say which type each one is. The possible types are referenced here in the documentation. So we can do booleans, text, number, date, map types that are like JSON objects for those who are familiar with it, arrays, and there's something about arrays I must say. If you want to do an array, you must do it in this kind of notation. So this will create an array of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, pa, pa, pa. Oh, but that wouldn't be here. It would be up here. All right. Just uh, a quick note about that. But in this case, we want to specify the description as a text and the due date as a date value. And that's it. That's all we need to do. So if we go back to our app and refresh the page, let's wait. Okay, it's refreshed. So let me do something to do tomorrow and put tomorrow as a due date, and I'll click add, and it says my new task is added. And if I go here to my collection, if it doesn't show immediately, you can reload the page. And when you create a new collection, it often requires you to update the page, and there it is. So there's a tasks collection that I just created with a document with its unique ID. This is the unique ID of this document, or an entry in the table if you want to think it like that. So just to remember how Firestore works. The collections work like tables, sort of, and each document inside a collection works as an entry or a row inside that table. So here's the document I created with the description something to do tomorrow and the due date for July 20th, 2023. And let's create another one, another task created from Bubble, and add due date of the let's say July 24th, and just click add, new task added, and there it is. I don't even have to reload the page anymore. And oh, actually that is the something to do tomorrow, and the other one, there it is, another task created from Bubble with the due date I have set it for it. So an important thing to notice is something I think I mentioned in the first video. You have the same liberty you have while creating new fields here when creating a document or updating a document can be treachery, because let's say if you are updating this document and you add an underline instead of a space like so, it will create a different kind of field, like a different column inside your table. So you must be very careful with the naming you give to each field. Well, but that was the tutorial on how to create a new document using the plugin. On the next video, we'll show how to read this data and display it in our app. Until then,